On the energy money source and use, we're looking at the source of the money, and again, it kind of relates back to what I talked about in the social aspects of it. We're trying to we dislike borrowing money if we don't have to, but this was definitely an unforeseen expenditure. So the negative side is that we have to borrow money to take the action. On the use side of it, it is buying infrastructure, and hopefully this will be a one-time expenditure. So that's the plus side of that on that, looking at that particular test on energy and money and use. Sustainability relates back to the resource base, and if we take this action, will it move us towards the future resource base? On this one, we felt that it failed. Our future resource base doesn't really describe, the actions related to vehicles or equipment, but it does talk about value of recycling and repair of buildings, and that's kind of what we've looked at it, relate that to equipment, and as far as being able to, we've essentially invested a fair amount of money into the old semi and money and time and modifying it to use it the way we can for the last 7 years. So if we replace it, we've kind of lost that investment, and we don't feel like we're probably doing as good a job of recycling that as we could. So we essentially said that test failed. This action would fail that test. And then society and culture, this is your gut feeling, how you feel about this test. And at the end of going to the test again, I wasn't as comfortable buying a replacement. It's really not a new one. It's going to be a used vehicle, and we may be buying an unknown problem that we don't know about. And we spent a fair amount of money fixing up the other one, so we said that the society and culture failed the test. Now we're going to go on to looking at the other side of this decision, other action that we're going to evaluate, and that is to have the engine rebuilt. And this will be fairly quickly because a lot of these will relate to the buying a new vehicle. I mean, some of the idea concepts behind them are the same. Cause and effect, it's going to pass. The social weak link is going to be very similar because of going into debt, and that aspect it's essentially the same. Biological doesn't apply. Financial, again, it's the same. It's just a different means of meeting that financial weak link. Marginal reaction, we're going to pass that. We're going to wait on that one in a bit. Come back to it. Gross profit doesn't apply. On the energy, money, source, and use, it's going to be essentially the same as the other one because we're buying infrastructure again. We're going to have to use borrow money to go into to rebuild the engine. On the society and culture, we felt this was going to pass. We feel that we're doing a better job of recycling it by having the engine rebuilt on this semi that we've really invested money into over the last 7 years maintaining it, and so we feel that we're doing a better job in that. We felt that this decision passed that test. On the society and culture side of it, after we went to this, I feel pretty good. I feel better about this decision because the fact that we know the maintenance history of this vehicle because we did the maintenance on it for the last 7 years, and also there's another plus side is that the rebuilt engine will have a 3-year warranty. So that feels more comfortable about making that decision. So now we're going to look at them in comparison. We look at the margin of reaction. Based on my research, and that was one of the things I didn't mention up front, but you want to make sure you do all the research ahead of time before you start going through the testing guidelines. Based on my research, evaluating what it would cost to buy a replacement and get it modified to adapt it to what I need to make it work for our operation, and the rebuilding engine, the costs are basically the same. So as far as the margin of reaction, it doesn't really fix the decision, but if you looking at and comparing those, the replacement has failed the society and culture test, and it's failed the sustainability test. So what we decided to do is we're going to go with rebuilding the engine, have the engine rebuilt in the machine. That's a decision that, based on our testing guidelines and how that related to our holistic goal, that we felt was the best decision for us. So this week you will have a assignment, and that's going to be using a testing record, and that's the same testing record that we just went over on page 84 of the At Home with Holistic Management, and actually test a decision that you need to make, and use that using your holistic goal that you're creating. And as you do more of the testing, you will refine your holistic goal, because like the example, we didn't have recycling about, we had information about buildings and using buildings for recycling. We didn't have anything about relating to equipment, but we didn't necessarily need that in there because our philosophy was already in the holistic goal. But you will refine as you test more decisions against your holistic goal. You will refine it. So this is one of your assignments for next week. And this again, as we didn't remind you, but Cole had mentioned, is there any questions about the testing guidelines that we could cover here before we go on into next, which is Ken's presentation? Did anybody have any questions?
Oh, okay, Craig. At the moment, we don't, but we could wait for a few more seconds, maybe 60 seconds here.
Sure, we can wait a little bit, and I just want to just kind of reiterate that as far as when we went to the testing guidelines, when Sue and I were discussing this, some things came up as we were discussing it. And one was when we was talking about the WeakLink Financial and how that changes so quickly, because it really you only have one weak link at a time. So, like I said, mentioned before, our weak link was I was thinking, okay, our weak link is marketing, but when we got into the discussion, well, now we don't. Now there's only one weak link, and now our weak link is we need a vehicle to move the animals. So our focus shifted from, okay, we got to prioritize getting a vehicle back in shape so that we can be able to move the animals out to projects and do the work. So it doesn't matter how much marketing we do if we can't move the animals to get them out on projects. So that was kind of it's kind of aha. As you go through the testing guidelines, some of those kind of things will come out, be more, think about them more, and they'll become more natural to you as you begin using those testing guidelines.
Okay, well, Craig, we haven't had any more questions come in, so I guess everybody followed that.
Well, I'm going to shift you over, and I'm going to turn this over to Ken, and so he can go on to his presentation, and I'll be back a little bit later.